All right, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Joshua Weisel here in the Weather 225 Storm Studios, and we are covering a new tornado warning that is in portions of Delaware County, Oklahoma. So if you're just now tuning in, we now have a tornado warning in effect for Delaware County, Oklahoma. Let's get into this here real quick, and we're going to get to all those details here to break this down. So right now we have tornado watch in effect till 11 o'clock tonight. And this tornado warning right now does include the community of Jay, and so we need to be weather alert in these areas. Now there's also maybe a little bit of rotation with the one that's further to the north and west as well. I want to keep a very close eye on this activity, but what you're looking at right now is in the community of Jay, there is a tornado potentially making its way closer to your area. So if you're in the community of Jay, if you're in Delaware County and the northern sides of the county, you need to be weather alert. Eventually, if this holds together its strength, it may be making its way closer to Benton County here. So we have a tornado warning in effect, and it does include Delaware County, Oklahoma. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this real quick. And I want to go ahead and look at the velocities with this. So the velocities right now are just to the north and west of Jay. So this is what you see right here. That's the area of rotation that we're talking about that prompted this warning. Now, when this storm was further to the west, it did produce some rotation with it, and it was actually given a tornado possible tag. Same with this when we wrapped up our update just a little bit ago on Facebook. It had that tornado possible tag. So if you're in the community of Jay, just kind of, running over here, getting the lights on, everything like that. But we do have that potential tornado that is, potentially developing here. So if you live in the community of Jay, if you live in northern portions of Delaware County, what I want you to do is I want you to get to the lowest floor of a sturdy building, whether, that's your home, whether you're at work, lowest floor, centermost room. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible because we want to make sure that you're protecting yourself from the potential of flying debris. So protect yourself from that potential of some damaging winds, flying debris. Let me make sure that the audio is working. And so if you're just now watching in the community of Jay, make sure that you're in the lowest, centermost room of your home. Now, if you're in a mobile home park, I know there's a lot of mobile homes, mobile home parks that actually have their own shelters on site. If you can get to that, make sure you get to that quickly before this storm arrives. And, make sure that you're acting accordingly to protect yourself from the potential of a tornado. Let's go to our wind shear product here real quick. Now, one thing that we're going to keep an eye on is this is our own unique wind shear type rotation product. So what this is going to show you is, see these greens? The greens are a little bit more normal with these storms. When you start to get concerned is when those greens start getting into lighter green, yellow, and then eventually red. And so if you start to see that turn into yellow into red, that means that there could likely be some very strong rotation embedded. Like we mentioned, it's got some broad rotation with it at the moment. I still think you need to act accordingly as if it's on the ground. But right now, light greens at the moment. And it looks like we have a new update as they did trim off the warning a little bit further to the east. Still radar indicated, which is some good news. But still, it doesn't matter if this is radar indicated or not. What I want you to do is treat it with respect as if it's on the ground. You need to me making sure that it is, treated as if it's on the ground because this is a tornado warning and it definitely deserves the respect. Now something too is notice that both of these severe thunderstorm warnings that we have here in some of our northeast counties, notice that both of them have an orange center for the box. And the reason that's important is when you get these severe thunderstorm warnings that they get these orange boxes kind of filled in, that means that they have tornado possible tags. And what that means is there's some rotation aloft with both of these storms, and we mentioned earlier when we first started that there was some rotation with this one as well. But when you start to see the tornado possible tags pop up, what that means is the National Weather Service is saying, hey, we got some rotation with these storms. It's not quite at the tornado warned level yet. This one is managing to get into those levels, but it means stay alert because there could be a warning issued or there could be a tornado that tries to develop. So we're keeping an eye on it. Right now, the only warning right now is for Delaware County in the center to even slightly northern portions of the county. Let's go to reflectivity here real quick, kind of see what's going on here. So let's see, this one is moving east at around 14 miles an hour. So this is the same problem we've been dealing with the last week, is these storms aren't moving very quickly at all. And that's some unfortunate news, because when you have motions that are not that fast, that's going to lead to some issues of you can get heavy rainfall and some flash flooding. So let's see if I can do a quick little cell track here. The area of concern. And let's do this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and it's not wanting to pick up that community. So let's do it from here and just see if we can pick up. So this is saying 655 in J. It's probably a little bit more north of that here, just trying to struggling. The good news is it's in some rural portions of Delaware County. The problem is when you do these little cell tracks, you're not going to be able to pick up a whole lot of towns, which is some good and bad news. The good news is there's not a whole lot of towns. The bad news is when you're trying to pick up some of these areas here, it's having some hard time trying to kind of add that to the cone of concern. So if we zoom in here real quick, this is a look at what we got with that storm. Again, if you're in Delaware County in the community of J, what I want you to do is make sure that you are in the lowest portion of a sturdy building, whether that's an interior closet, bathroom. I know there's not a whole lot of basements in this part of the country, but if you have a basement or designated storm shelter, I want you to seek shelter at those locations, because this needs to be treated as if it is a confirmed tornado. Right now I'm not seeing any sort of confirmation, but I want you to treat it as if it was a confirmed tornado. Now what I'm adding right here are some street overlays, and what we're going to do is we are going to show you kind of where that danger area is currently located. Here's our little hook. It's not the most impressive hook that we've seen, but this may be cycling to try and produce a tornado. So if you're in the community of J, here's that hook. It's starting to make its way. You probably only have under the 5-minute mark before it's eventually into the community of J. What I want to do here too is let's see if we can get some of these roads to pop up. So right now the rotation itself, probably near South Road 560. This is East 380. I believe that this is North 458 and County Road 403. Here's a look at South or 590 Road. So these are the areas kind of where that rotation's look, and now it looks like the rotation is in J. Here's a look at that hook echo. We need to go ahead and take a look. This is why we're saying you're out of time here in J. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the velocity signature is looking like now that it's in the community of J just about. And it looks like we're kind of in between scans here real quick. There we go. So there's the latest scan. Still into those light greens. And again, so if you're in the community of J, make sure that you're acting as if this was a confirmed tornado. Again, we don't have confirmation, but it's one of those things where it doesn't really matter if it's confirmed or not. It needs to be treated with respect as if it is confirmed on the ground. That rotation still right here where you see these reds and these greens coming together right here. And again, that's basically in the community of J at this point. And some of these other locations that you're seeing, it's right now near Main Street, which is right here. And then we're also talking, I think that was Robin Street, and then East 390. Kind of in this vicinity is where that rotation is located. So if you know these roads that I'm talking about, make sure you're in shelter. The storm is right here. And so we want to make sure that we are protecting ourselves from a potential tornado. Let's go ahead and clear out some of those roads here real quick. And here's what we've got. So if you're just now tuning in with us, we have a tornado warning that is for Delaware County, and it is in effect. Let me move this over here. This tornado warning is in effect until 7:15. So that's a look at what we've got there. Supercell structure, you can see we've got a little bit of a hook feature in the community of Jay. So if you're in Jay, we're wanting to be in our shelter area right now. Where we're going to be keeping an eye on it is it's making its way into eastern Delaware County, and eventually it may be getting close to some of our communities in Benton County. That's not to say that there's going to be a tornado in these areas. I know there's a lot of anxiety when it comes to Benton County in recent years from a tornado, and this is why I'm wanting you to just be weather alert. We do have a storm that's knocking on our door in Benton County. Doesn't mean a tornado is going to occur in Benton County, but as you can see, still showing the signs that there's at least attempts to try and produce a tornado. So I just want to give you as much lead time as possible. If you live in Benton County, no warning yet, but once this makes its way further to the east, it may eventually lead to a tornado warning in portions of McDonald County, maybe Benton County as well. So we're keeping a close eye on this. The tornado watch is in effect until 11 o'clock this evening. But we need to be keeping an eye on this particular storm, and we're going to add those road overlays into Benton County real quick so we can kind of show you where it's at if eventually it does make it. Again, not everyone's going to see tornado activity this evening, but as you can see, the ingredients are there that it's at least going to prompt some warnings, and when warnings are issued, I want you to act accordingly, as fast as you can, just because tornadoes, they're not fun to mess with or deal with, anything like that. We want to make sure that we're treating these with respect, getting to our, locations of shelter as quickly as we can. I also want to give locations in eastern Delaware County a heads up. This storm is making its way closer to you, and I know that there's a lot of mobile home parks in this part of the state and in western Benton County. We also have a lot of campgrounds too, and I want to give you as much lead time as possible and tell you, hey, we got a storm that may be trying to produce a tornado, and we need you to be in shelter and standing by for shelter in some of these locations ahead of it. That little hook feature there is what we call a stinger hook. It's not the traditional, boot-shaped hook you see with some of those super intense supercells. We got this little hook here and a little bit of inflow feeding into that right over the community of Jay. And the problem with some of the storms today, especially this one, is it's not moving quickly at all. It's only moving at around 15 miles an hour. Here's a look at where that location is of rotation. This is Main Street. This is 380, I believe, the county road there. So right now it is located over Main Street. If that rotation were to be highlighted. So let's go to our tools here real quick. 390. And here's a look at North Main Street right here. So that rotation area right now is located at Main Street and East 390 Road. 390 Road and Main Street, where we have that rotation. It is currently over the community of Jay. Northeast sides mostly at the moment. That is your area where a tornado may be trying to develop, is right now on 390 Road and North Main. I want to go ahead, and while we're doing this, let's go ahead and show you our wind, our rotation tracker here. And notice we're still into the bright greens. It's not into the yellows or the reds. I don't want you to think that that means that we're absolutely clear and there's nothing. How these storms work, especially when they're a little bit more supercell structured, is they tend to recycle. And it won't surprise me if we got the wall cloud and maybe a couple funnel clouds trying to produce with this as well. And they tend to recycle two or three times. By the time you get to the third cycle, that's typically when these like to produce. And so if we're not at the level that it's producing yet, let's hope that we don't get there. We're not hoping for a tornado at all here in the Storm Studios, but hopefully this is not producing any sort of damage. But right now we need to treat it as if it was a tornado on the ground right here. Main Street, 390 Road. That's where that rotation is located in the community of Jay. Real quick, not to abandon this storm, I want to take a look at another area of rotation that is in some of our northern counties here. And this is starting to make its way into Searcy County. This one also has a tornado possible tag, and you can see there's a little bit brighter greens there. Now, right now, that rotation appears to be very broad, but we may need to watch this area near Bernice. As you can see, we got those reds and those greens starting to come together here. And again, that is going to be in northern Delaware County and in portions of Searcy County, Oklahoma. Or not Searcy County, Oklahoma, excuse me. That's going to be Craig County, Oklahoma, and also Ottawa County. So here's Ottawa, here's Craig, looking at the wrong sheet over there. So new to some of these coverage areas that we have up here. So if you're, this is going to be northern Delaware County, there may be another area of rotation that we need to be keeping an eye on there. Let's go ahead and real quick see the wind shear product. And right there, located, this is going to be 250 Road. And let's see if we can get some more locations, I believe. 250 Road and 260 Road. This is where that rotation would be located. South of Afton, southeast of 44, northwest of Bernice. We'll need to keep an eye on that activity. Let's go back down to the south here. Here's a look at that rotation that we've been keeping a close eye on here in Delaware County. And that rotation looks a little bit tighter, and that's a little bit more concerning. We got tighter rotations starting to develop. Again, I'm not telling you this to, alarm you. I'm not telling you this to scare you. We need to be prepared in northwestern Benton County here, southwest McDonald County, because that rotation looks to be tightening up a little bit, and that is currently still just to the east of Main Street in the community of Jay. And that is actually going to be on 400 Road and 390 Road, northeast of Jay. That's the rotation. And this is what we call gate to gate, folks, is when you start to see those greens and those reds coming tightly together, that's what we call gate to gate shear. And that's when you get those reds and those greens coming tightly together. It's indicative of strong rotation. And again, no confirmed tornadoes from any reports that we're seeing here, but we want to treat this as if it was a tornado that is actively occurring. See here, trying to see if I can get any sort of see if we're getting any sort of updates coming in here real quick. And so we're keeping a close eye on this. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone who is watching on weather225.com. If you're watching on all of our Facebooks and YouTube, we are streaming on several platforms right now. Tornado warning in effect for northern and north central Delaware County, Oklahoma. Here's what we've got. If you're just now tuning in, I need you to be in your shelters in north central Delaware County, east of the community of Jay. We have a rapidly strengthening area of rotation just to the east of the community of Jay. It's not moving very quickly, so it's still not in the immediate city limits of Jay, which is right there. It's near where Main Street is located and 400 Road, and I need you to be in your shelters just because this may be trying to produce a tornado as we speak. Again, this is what we call gate-to-gate shear, or a gate-to-gate couplet. When you see those greens and those reds coming together, hopefully by the next scan it's not as tight, but in the last couple of scans that we've seen, it's starting to look a little bit tighter. That looks a little bit more concerning. So if you're new to the community of Jay, if you're to the north and east of Jay, make sure that you're in your shelter. So let's see here. Do we get a new update? And the other thing, too, let me go ahead and zoom out, and this is something else that we'll need to keep a close eye on, too, is I want to give a quick heads up here. So if you are in northwestern Benton County, if you're in southwest McDonald County, it would not surprise me. It may or may not be from McDonald County, but if this rotation continues to kind of maintain its strength, we may be looking at an additional tornado warning for portions of northwest Benton County. And there's the latest scan, still fairly tight couplet there. That's pretty concerning. this may be trying to produce. And we've already seen it kind of get tight a couple different times already. As I mentioned previously, storms like this, when they're a little bit more supercell structured, you start to see this cycle like 2 or 3 times. And by the time you get to the third cycle with this, we may be on cycle 2 at the moment. Maybe cycle 3 really just depends on, the radar from a little bit ago. This may be trying to produce. And so when you start to see it tighten, sometimes you start to see it weaken. And of course, that may be a good thing. You can watch it start to kind of go away and hope that that continues to go away. But when it starts to weaken, you may need to watch that it may be trying to recycle once again. Right now, still fairly tight rotation on portions of Delaware County just to the immediate northeast of the community of Jay. Again, if you're in Jay, I need you to be in your shelter. It's not moving very quickly, so you're going to want to be in your shelter and wait this out. But just want to give an early heads up to our neighbors in northwest Benton County. Again, if you're in northwest Benton County, you're going to want to keep an eye on this because this may eventually lead to an additional warning, maybe into portions of Benton County. So we're giving you an early heads up. So Sulphur Springs, Gravette. Let's see if we can include some of these other communities here. Depending on what they do with the warning, if there was to be another one, I'd be weather alert in Decatur, Gravette, Sulphur Springs, Southwest City, and eventually Centerton, maybe Bentonville. Again, that doesn't mean that these communities I'm calling out are going to see a tornado, but just looking at the latest scan where it's still maintaining its strength, I want to give you an early heads up. So it's moving slow, but I think an additional warning may be a possibility as this storm makes its way further to the east into that polygon that's currently located, and we got those reds and greens coming together. Let's go back here real quick and show you where that tornado would be located. Still fairly tight rotation with the latest scan, and this is something that you're only going to see here is traditional radars, things like that. You get updates that are every 2 minutes to 5 minutes, especially on some of those free apps out there. This updates every 30 seconds to 90 seconds, and you're going to get the latest sweep come in with this software, and that's coming directly from the radar as it's happening. And so we're getting the latest scans here coming in. Again, it's a little bit tricky with this part of the state because we're in a little bit higher elevations from the radar located in Fort Smith. It's looking a little bit higher up, but I can tell you this area of rotation is still maintaining a fairly good strength. And so right now, if that storm were to be trying to produce a tornado, it would be located, this is 640 Road and 390 Road. It's basically parallel with 390 Road. And it looks like we have a new update. Weather Service is mentioning that a strong low-level rotation could produce a tornado at any time located 4 miles to the east of Jay, moving east at 20 miles an hour. So the Weather Service is saying this could likely produce a tornado at any minute, and we're watching this with you, and I think that we're currently on the cycle where it's going to try and produce. I have a visual from a chaser that we're keeping an eye on, on one of our monitors too, and it looks like a fairly nasty storm. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this, but again, I can't stress this enough. If you are in Delaware County, east of Jay, you need to be in your shelter. Lowest floor, centermost room. There's that tornado warning that we mentioned for parts of Benton County. So let's go ahead and take our tornado safety precautions in Benton County. I'm going to clear this real quick. We have a tornado warning for Benton County. And we're going to go ahead and clear this. All right, so time now is 6:56. We have tornado warnings in effect for parts of the northwest Arkansas metro, eastern Oklahoma. We have a rapidly developing storm in the eastern portions of the community of Jay. If you are in Benton County, if you just got notified of a tornado warning in Benton County, I need you to be in your shelter. Again, no confirmation of a tornado, but this is not the type of storm that we saw, last weekend where we had those little spin-ups. You can track it for a little bit, and then they quickly go away. This is a supercell. This is going to be a little bit longer lived, and right now I think we're on the second cycle of this particular storm. I've been mentioning this. These storms, they typically like to cycle 2 or 3 times and then they start to produce, but there's been times where it was very close to producing. Here's a look at that area of rotation right now. We have this Stinger hook that is currently just to the east of the community of Jay, and this is what we're talking about here. So when you think tornadoes, you can, imagine, the big hook echo. It's very apparent, and it's a lone supercell. Well, this is a little bit of a embedded mess further to the north where we have just this large storm. The supercell is still embedded with it here, and here's that Stinger hook. And the Stinger hook, it's still a hook echo, but notice it's not the big boot that you see. It's still maintaining its inflow here, and this is where that tornado would likely be trying to occur. So right now, if you are in Benton County, yes, you're getting rain and thunderstorms from this. That is not the tornado. So if you're getting the rain and you got that tornado warning and you're in Gravette, Decatur, in northwestern portions of the county, and you're thinking, it's here, I'm glad that you're reacting and getting to your shelter thinking that it's already here. This is not the tornado. It's right here, but I want you to not pause, get to your shelter. Don't pause and wait for this to eventually make its way towards you. Looks like we have a new update. Weather Service is still saying that they believe that this could produce a tornado at any time. A second severe thunderstorm is located north and west near Xena. So we've got a lot to watch. We're keeping an eye on that storm to the north. I apologize if you're watching from some of our counties in Oklahoma, specifically in Ottawa and northern Delaware, where we have that other storm that has a tornado possible tag. But we are tracking the tornado warnings at the minute. We'll get to those storms here as soon as we can. But northern Benton County, we have a tornado warning in effect. And so that's until 8 o'clock. Let's go ahead and let's see, which radar site are we? Okay, so we're from Tulsa. Let's go to our velocity product, and this is what I was saying a little bit earlier, is it'll be tricky because if it starts to look like it's weakening, we can't take that for its full value. This may be trying to recycle again, and while it doesn't look as impressive as it was earlier, you can still see we've got the reds and the greens that are still tightly close together. That's that gate-to-gate shear that we've been talking about, and right now, this would be located off of East 400 Road. That's this area right here, East 420 Road. And then eventually it'll be making its way towards County Road 404. It'll be making its way towards County Road 422. And then I believe that was Clary Road. If you know these locations, this is either where it's headed or it's currently located, 400 Road and 420 Road. That's what we've got going on right now. So if you know any of these roads that I'm talking about, if you know any of these communities that I'm calling out, I need you to be weather alert. I need you to be seeking shelter immediately because we do have potential tornado trying to develop. And if you're not hearing me right now, we're just reading some comments from the Weather Service and some other updates from behind the scenes. We're making sure that, getting some new updates here coming in too. We want to make sure that we're live on all of our streaming networks, and still looking at the rotation near East 400 Road, East 420 Road. All right, so if you're just now tuning in, the time right now is 7:02. Tornado warned storms right now starting to make their way into portions of northwest Arkansas. We have a tornado watch that's in effect until 11 o'clock, and then we have these tornado warned storms that are making their way into portions of the area. So we are live right now, and we are tracking these storms very carefully. Again, we have tornado warned storms in parts of the northwest Arkansas viewing area, eastern Oklahoma viewing area, and we want to make sure that you are all taking your immediate tornado precautions. Right now, that area of rotation is located between East Road 420, East Road 400, and my concern here is, notice the latest scan, it's not looking as intense. That may be a good thing. It may also be a sign of it trying to recycle. So we need to be on guard and not look at this and think, hey, it's weakened, it's gone. And my reasoning for that is we still have this little inflow notch here, what we call a stinger hook, and that is still showing signs of rotation still. Now, something else to keep an eye on is we still have some areas up to the north with tornado possible tags. And so looks like we went ahead and dropped those warnings. So that's some good news. So we can just focus on this activity. Something else that may need to eventually watch, and not saying it's going to happen at this minute, but something that's starting to catch my attention is at some point we may need to be mindful that this could start to do a handoff. And so what I mean by a handoff is, notice we have this inflow notch here, but I'm also starting to see a little bit of an inflow notch over the community of J. And so at some point, sometimes in a supercell's life cycle, you can have, if it's kind of a cluster of storms, or if you get kind of a broad area of storms that are kind of merging like this one, you can have the original area of rotation, and then it starts to kind of, lag back a little bit, gets embedded, and then a new area of rotation starts to occur further to the west. So one thing I want to keep an eye on, just looking at that little notch that we're starting to see near the community of J, is there may be an area attempting to do a little bit of what we call a handoff. Let's see here, anything new from the Weather Service? In fact, let's go ahead and take a look here. And let's go to our rotation detection tool. Actually, let's go to base velocity here real quick. And still, right here, we still see that rotation. It's a little bit more broad than what it was earlier, but still we see these reds and these greens close together, kind of sandwiched between East Road 400 and 420 as well. Seeing if we're getting any sort of updates from the Weather Service. So again, that's what we've got there too. Let me take a look here. Behind the scenes at another radar product that we use every day. And so we've got several cool products here at Weather 225. And let's see. Okay, so the Weather Service is now mentioning that the secondary storm that we're mentioning for the handoff, Weather Service now saying tornado warning continues for Delaware County, a storm capable of strong low-level rotation that could produce a tornado at any time was located over J, and that was just in. So we've got one area of rotation, and we've got a second potential area of rotation. Or at least that's what it's looking like as of now with that report. And I can kind of see it. Let's go back here. So we may need to be watching for a handoff. And you're watching it here with us live, folks. We're mentioning these things here. We're calling out what we're seeing as we're seeing them because I want to give you as much lead time as possible. So my suspicion with this one starting to decrease, you can get recycles with this where when they cycle once, they cycle twice, and then a third time they start to recycle again. You can get that. My concern now is, notice, we're starting to see a little bit more of a hook echo further to the west back in the community of J. So this is still a tornado-warned storm, and this is why they haven't kind of, shaved the warning further to the east, is we have this area here and this may also try to rotate eventually. We have a new update from the Weather Service. Severe thunderstorm with a strong low-level area of rotation may produce a tornado at any time. Was located 4 miles west of Maysville. So we're going to be bouncing back and forth here. We'll keep a close eye on this, but again, here's a look at what we've got. So we've got 2 areas of rotation that we're going to keep a close eye on. And the first one, the original one, is just about to the Benton County line here. It's still in eastern Delaware County. This is what we've got going on right now. That's area 1. That was the first area of rotation. Second area of rotation, cycling. Not as impressive yet, but still something we need to watch, is located over J at the minute. And so let me clear off these roads. So we've got the 2 areas that we're keeping a very close eye on. Again, both are still concerning, so it's not that one is ending and the other's taking over. That hasn't happened yet. We still have this area between East 400 Road, 420 Road. It may be trying to occlude, and this is where it's going to get interesting, is the next 2 or 3 scans we're going to see, because this one is starting to lag back a little bit, and here's that new hook feature that's starting to develop over the community of J. And let's see here. So we've got the 2 areas. Here is the original rotation right here. This is the new area of rotation that we're starting to keep a close eye on. Again, that one's not as strong. Both of these need to be treated as if they are a developing tornado. But again, that latest scan, not as impressive. Now, something else, word of caution too when reading this, is we're looking, a fairly high up range from the Tulsa radar site with this particular storm. This is probably about 2,000 to 3,000 feet off the ground. So it's going to have a harder time translating to what's actually happening on the ground. But what you're looking at right here is, again, those 2 areas of rotation. And so if you're in Benton County, again, we don't have, the storm is not actually in Benton County yet. It's still in Delaware County, but where it's going to start to get tricky is this one really isn't moving, and it looks like it's almost starting to occlude with that latest scan, and this is where we're going to have to start looking at, this may start to show a little bit of that handoff cycle where we need to watch and see which one of these starts to strengthen again. Right now, I treat it as if it was a confirmed tornado. The original area may be rain-wrapped if it is producing anything, because of the heavy rain that's surrounded by it as it's starting to get occluded. But right now, the radar is looking a little bit messy, and, that may or may not be a good thing. The problem with this is that I don't want us overlooking is while it looks messy right now, that doesn't mean in the next radar scan or the next 2 radar scans that this may not start to look concerning once again. So if I'm in western portions of Benton County, yeah, we've got rain, we've got thunder. It may be loud in some areas, but the actual tornado-warned storm itself still west of Benton County in Delaware County. And so that's where we've got this storm. And again, right now, we've been talking about, I was suspicious of what we call a handoff cycle, and we see these a lot in Oklahoma, is where you get kind of a larger storm, you get the area of rotation, and then you get another area of rotation to the west of the original. That's where we start to see some issues. Right now, that area of rotation is still apparent right here. It's not as bright, it's not as tight as it was earlier, but this is still that area of rotation between Road 400 and Road 420, or just a little bit south of there. So, in these areas, that's the area of rotation we're still keeping an eye on there. And then as we go back to regular reflectivity, again, this is the original rotation. We have another area trying to do something further to the west. So, let's see here. Looking to see if we have any updates from the Weather Service, and we just got a new notification. And both of these areas are moving at 20 miles an hour. So, again, even if it looks to be a little bit messier with the radar, this is why we can't let our guard down. There's that rotation right there. So this area of rotation starting to come back with the latest scan, and this is why we're saying you never know. In the next 1 to 2 radar scans, it may be on its way back. This is let's see if we can get some of these roads. All right. So the roads I just highlighted, area of rotation right now at road 430, 420, south of 400, and it's near north 4710 road. And so that's also going to be eventually where it turns into Clary Road in northeast Benton County. That area of rotation is right there between 420 and 430. New tornado warning for this. And so let's see what that warning is for. I'll go ahead and click this box to get the latest information. This one's moving east at 20 miles an hour. It does include portions of Benton County. It also includes portions of Delaware County. So we got the 3 tornado warnings right now. The other thing, too, in addition to the tornado potential, half-dollar sized hail is going to be a potential with this as well. So large hail and a tornado potential with this storm. If it were my guess, they're probably going to go ahead and remove that one that's to the north. But the Weather Service, based off of what I'm seeing here, it looks like they're accounting for that little hook feature that we've been keeping an eye on for that potential handoff. So we got an area of rotation here. We've got an area of rotation trying to develop back to the south and west. Both of these warnings are in portions of Delaware and Benton County. So if this is going to make a little bit more of a southwesterly turn or a southeasterly turn, this may be further into Benton County here in a little bit. So what I want to do here real quick, excuse me, is I want to put this into motion and let's do a wide angle view, show you what we're talking about. So if you're just now tuning in, Weather 225 online on our website, weather225.com, on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, formerly Twitter, what we've got right now is we have a tornado watch for parts of the area until 11 o'clock tonight. That's for a large portion of the county coverage area. What we're looking at right now is we have tornado warned storms for Delaware and Benton County. Now, just to kind of ease those fears, because I know we got a lot of viewers in the River Valley, right now, River Valley's clear. We're talking north of I-40 is where the concern is. And again, in the next couple of hours, Benton County, Washington County, Delaware County, even portions of southwest Missouri, this is where this is going to be a little bit more of the hot spot for activity based off of what we've already got ongoing. So, still radar indicated, which is some good news, but my concern with this is it's starting to look a little bit more supercell looking. So here's that area of rotation, the original one. Here's that secondary area that we're keeping a close eye on. And right now, not in Benton County fully just yet, but if we go to our velocity product, here are the 2 areas that we're talking about. And so if we go to our marker here, I'm going to go ahead and mark this off. So here is one of the areas that we're talking about. And here's the second. Let me clear that off. That's a little bit outside of that. So here's area 1. Right here. And then area 2 is going to be right here. So in terms of kind of what we're talking about with the rotation, area 1 is this spot right here. This is the county line between Delaware and Benton County. It's right here. This is near 420 Road. This is near 430. And eventually it'll be near Clary Road in western Benton County. Area 2 is just to the north of where it says alert. That is the area of rotation that looks to be the new up-and-coming area of rotation with this storm. So, again, Regardless where you're located in this warning, I would still be weather alert and keeping a very close eye on this activity. Let's go ahead and go to our wind and rotation tracker. Still into the brighter greens there, not quite into the yellow. Same with that activity further to the west. So, let's see here. Weather Service, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Maysville, moving east at 20 miles an hour. So let me go ahead here real quick, too, and see if we can get the other radar site that has a little bit more of the communities here highlighted. And see if we can get some of those additional communities highlighted here. So here's where we're talking about here. And so, and this is why we have numerous software, is because the numerous software, that's going to be able to give you a better look at some of the communities here that some of the other softwares may not be able to highlight there. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that one over to the Weather 4 monitor here. And so this area of rotation here is going to be pretty much over Maysville, and then we have another area near the community of Sycamore. Now, something else that I want to bring to your attention too, it's going to be the hail potential. And we haven't talked about this because the tornado is going to be the main headline for many people's minds. But if you're in Mayville, if you're in Sycamore, radar is indicating up to 2-inch hail with this. It's probably hitting the ground closer to $half to maybe ping pong ball sized hail. But it wouldn't surprise me if this is going to be producing some of that large destructive hail. And the warning still says $half. The one at 7:07 was indicating golf ball sized with the warning for this. So again, it may be as large as golf ball sized, but if this continues to strengthen, eventually, outside of the tornado potential, this may be capable of producing up to hen egg-sized hail, which is up to 2 inches in diameter. Right now, I think it's mostly between $half to golf ball-sized hail. But yeah, here's our next concern besides the tornado. Starting to see those pinks popping up there. That's hen egg-sized hail, and I think that we're going to start to see some large destructive hail in the community of Sycamore and in Maysville. So I know the tornado is going to be, the thing that everyone talks about, but in terms of more widespread damage, here's the thing when it comes to this. We know tornadoes are scary, but tornadoes, they may only affect a couple of yards to a couple of hundred of yards in terms of their damage path. This type of potential here, with this hail, is going to be a little bit more widespread damage, and that hail could easily be golf ball plus sized hail based off of the radar. So golf ball plus sized hail with that storm. Here's a look at what we got with the rotation tracker on this. Still brighter areas highlighted near Maysville. This is going to be where that potential tornado may be located if it were trying to develop. The good news is we're taking a look here. This is a tool that we haven't shown often this year. And, thank goodness, thank God, we haven't had to use it that often this storm season. This is our debris detection, and this is a cool tool that we have here at Weather 225. It takes into account the different things that you get in terms of the clutter from the radar, and it eliminates clutter from debris. And if you see a bright white ball or a pink ball, that's indicative of, damage or debris that's being lofted. Right now, we're not seeing that. That's a good thing, but I still want you to be treating this as if it were a confirmed tornado. Right now, that tornado would be located in the vicinity of Maysville, and that's a look at what we've got with that, and here's that rotation. Now, my concern with this at this moment is this is a pretty strong area of rotation there. And I want to see which radar site are we on. So this is from Springfield. Let's go ahead and go to the Tulsa radar site here real quick and see if we've got a better view. And something else we need to keep an eye on, Ponca City tornado warning was just issued. That's going to be in the western portions of our coverage area, so we will be covering that when it makes its way into our Oklahoma coverage area. But right now, we have these tornado warning storms. So, active evening. This is why we're here with y'all. We're going to make sure that we give you the latest information, and we're going to be here with you to get you through this as best as we can. So, right now, here's a look at what we've got with the rotation detection. And let's go to the hail core tracker on this one, see what it's talking about. Okay, it looks like it's having a hard time. All right, we'll come back to that here eventually. So here's the deal that we're dealing with here in northwest Arkansas and northeast Oklahoma. See, Weather Service saying a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Maysville, moving east at 30 miles an hour. So, again, this is starting to pick up speed. Earlier, it was only moving at 14 miles an hour, and then after that, it was only moving at around 20 to 28, and now we're up to 30. But the other thing, too, is they have upgraded this hail to 1.75 inches. So we're at golf ball sized hail with this. So, you know, I know the big headline that everyone talks about with situations like this is the big, scary red box, the tornado warning. In terms of widespread damage, you need to be prepared in western Benton County, eastern Delaware County for the likelihood of hail anywhere from ping pong ball size to hen egg size. That's 2-inch hail potentially. Right now the warning is only covering golf ball size hail, but as we showed you with that hail core tracker a little bit ago, it was indicating that there could be hail even larger with this activity. So right now we have a potential tornado trying to develop in the community of Maysville. That rotation is located right over Maysville. Here's that little inflow notch there. Further to the west near Sycamore, we have a little inflow notch there as well. Another area of rotation we'll need to keep an eye on. But this storm right here, looks like we have two areas that are still kind of holding on to their intensity. Right now, if we take a look at this here, you can see it's a little bit tough to kind of point out here. But there is that brighter spot located in the community of Maysville. And so we've got one little spot here. And let's go back to our velocity and show you what we're talking about. Here's that gate-to-gate rotation where the greens are coming close to the reds, right over the community of Maysville. If we go back here, there's another little area right here to the south of Sycamore that's trying to develop. So we have these two warnings for two separate areas, and that latest scan, ooh, that looks more concerning. I need to be in shelter if you are in Maysville. That rotation is... This is what we've been talking about all evening, folks. You can't let your guard down. If it looks like it's weakening, it may be recycling. And that latest scan, I think it's recycled and it's starting to get its act back together. So if you are in Maysville, if you're in Gravette, you need to be in shelter. Decatur, if you're hearing these locations that I'm calling out, this may actually be getting close to producing a tornado. Let's look at our rotation tracker. Here's what we're talking about right here over the community of Maysville. If you are in Maysville, I need you to be in shelter because this may be very close to producing a tornado. Good news is nothing with our debris detection here, but this is starting to look a little bit more concerning, folks. And again, I don't say this to alarm you. I'm not saying this for clicks and views. That latest scan is a little bit more concerning. And notice in that last scan, that was a pretty dramatic turn. And so here's that rotation that we're talking about in Maysville. I think this one's starting to recycle, and hopefully in the next couple of scans it doesn't start to tighten up. But I tell you, if you are in Gravette, if you are in Decatur, you need to start getting ready for the potential of a tornado here because that is some pretty notable rotation. I'm going to go back to our other product here real quick. So stand by. We're going to see if we can get that up here so I can show you some roads. But right now, that is the concerning area that we're talking about here. And so that's located right over the community of Maysville. And again, if you're in Gravette, if you're in Decatur, I need you to hear me. Start getting to your shelter location. Start preparing to get to shelter. If you are in a mobile home park, if you're in any of the various campsites in western Benton County, you need to be in shelter because this storm is starting to tighten up a little bit again. So right now, let's see. So this is Scott Road right here. Here's County Road 422, Graham Road. This is County Road 510. Here's a look at where Graham Road turns into Kane Road here. This is where that area of rotation is located. It is to the west of Gravette. In Gravette, start preparing your tornado safety precautions now. Get to shelter, put on the hard sole shoes. Centermost room. I need you on the lowest floor of a sturdy building, centermost room. That's a closet or basement. You may have designated storm shelter. You may, be in a mobile home and you're wondering where to go. If you have a designated storm shelter at the mobile home park, get to that now. If you're in a mobile home and there's no other options, get away from that mobile home and lie flat in a ditch. Cover your head too. I know that sounds like a terrible way to ride out a storm, but unfortunately in some of these locations where there's not, ample shelter, if it's right on top of you, that's the best and only option you may have. If you're further to the east and you see it starting to make its way closer to you, don't go driving away from it and trying to outrun it, that type of thing. If, there's a convenience store across the street and you can get to that, or a sturdy structure across the street and you can get to that before it gets to you, I'd get to that now instead of later because, again, this is starting to look a little bit more interesting at Graham Road, and this is also at Scott Road, County Road 510, and where Graham Road eventually kind of meets with Kane Road in this area west of Gravette. That's what we're talking about here. Now, right now, I'm not seeing any sort of confirmations, which is some good news, and hopefully it remains unconfirmed. But this is still looking like a little bit more of a concerning area of rotation compared to some of the ones that we've seen earlier. Okay, so right now we're going to do a little bit of an update. Where we're at right now, it is 7:30 in the evening. We have tornado warning storms in portions of Delaware County and Benton County, Oklahoma and Arkansas. Right now, we have a developing situation in western Benton County, and it's been recycling over and over. It kind of occluded on itself temporarily. I think it's starting to undergo another recycling, process here because, as we've been mentioning, you can't let your guard down with this. Just when it looks like it starts to broaden out and go away, it comes back pretty quickly. And we can already start to see that kind of starting again near Graham Road, Kane Road, County Road 510, and Scott Road. So if you're in these locations near Maysville, I need you in your shelter. Even though it may not look that impressive right now, it doesn't mean that that next scan, it can't do what it's been doing off and on the last 30 minutes or so, where it looks like it weakens, and then it comes back to the very next scan. The cool thing about the radar here at Weather 225 is you're going to get the latest updates. Traditional radar apps and everything along those lines that you have on your phone and everything like that, unless it's the very expensive apps and stuff like that, or professional grade stuff like RadarScope and all that. We're not sponsored by any of them. But the cool thing about our radar compared to others is we get the radar updates live when they're happening from the radar source every 30 to 90 seconds here. So again, a lot of updates. They may be every 60 seconds, or they may be every 2 minutes to every 5 minutes with some of those free apps that you have on your phone. This is going to update every 30 to 60 to 90 seconds, depending on the mode the Weather Service puts it in. So there's that area of rotation still right there. County Road 510, Kane Road, Graham Road, south of Scott Road, right there where you're seeing those greens and those reds starting to come, tight together. That's what we're talking about in terms of that rotation. Let's go to normal radar here real quick. And this is just a big supercell storm. So this storm right here, this is Maysville right here. Maysville's right in there. This is west of Gravette. If you're in Gravette, start to get into your tornado shelter. because this storm is making its way closer to you. You want to be in your tornado safe place. Someone was asking, when will this be into the Bentonville area? That's a good question. This storm right now is not moving very quickly, and so it's only moving around 30 miles an hour, which is faster than what we've seen with some of the storms lately. But the other thing right now is this is mostly western Benton County. Let's zoom out here real quick, and I can kind of show you what we're talking about. So here's Bentonville, Bella Vista. I don't know why it's not showing Bentonville. Let's turn off these roads. So right now, here's Centerton, here's Bentonville. You got some heavy rainfall. Tornado warning is not for you, but eventually, if this kind of continues an easterly path, there may be an additional tornado warning issued once it gets closer to the end of this box. And so I'd be weather alert in the next 30 minutes to an hour. Now, this may not actually make its way into Bentonville, downtown necessarily, but if you're in these areas and you're not in a warning, just remain weather alert for the possibility that the warning could be extended further to the east. We'll have to wait and see what happens with this. But right now, this is not in Bentonville, but it wouldn't surprise me if eventually we start to see some additional warnings issued if this maintains enough of its intensity here. So right now, here's a look at what we've got. In fact, I actually want to go back to our other radar source here. 1-inch hail reported in Maysville. Quarter-size hail was just reported in Maysville. And so we're going to go back to this other radar product here real quick, so stand by for that. So here's a look at that one that is located in Maysville. 1-inch hail was reported. It wouldn't surprise me if there's some larger hail kind of embedded with that too. And so, let's see if we're getting any other reports here from the Weather Service. So that was reported from a storm chaser in Maysville. So we got storm chasers in this area. They're reporting that right now. That was reported at 7:30, 4 minutes ago. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got with the hail core tracker still. And it wouldn't surprise me if there may be some hailstones. The problem with some of these too is when you get some stronger updrafts, radar is scanning aloft, and you have the larger hail that hasn't made its way to the ground just yet. And so we'll have to take a look at this. One concern may be that there's larger hail kind of, aloft into the storm that hasn't fallen yet. So right now it's reported at quarter-sized hail. Let's see here. Let's go back to the velocity. So again, that was reported from a storm chaser. I'm going to be cut off here real quick. I'm going to grab a little glass of water since we've been on for a little bit. And let's see. Here I am. Come on, camera. So tornado warned storms still for some portions of our Arkansas and Oklahoma County coverage areas. Another area that we need to be watching in some of our western counties is this area to the north of Stillwater and Ponca City, where we not only have considerable severe weather, but also a tornado warning at the moment. Let's go ahead and take a look at this here real quick. And so this is not fully in our coverage area yet, but this is going to be our problem here in a little bit too. Tight rotation. Yes, just south of Blackwell. That's headed into Ponca City. We'll keep an eye on that. This storm is also capable of producing let's see here. Golf ball sized hail. Okay, so that's also going to be a problematic storm eventually when it makes its way into our county coverage area. Let's go back to this one here real quick, and I want to go to the Tulsa radar site. And this is a little bit of a tricky area where it's not, a terrible radar gap, but it is enough of a radar gap where we're kind of in the higher elevations of all three radars: Fort Smith, Tulsa, and Springfield. So let's go back to this one here real quick. And every update, it's a little bit more and more interesting. Still over Maysville. This is what we've been saying, you know, don't let your guard down with it, because that last scan that we had a little bit earlier, I'm starting to think that there's an issue with that radar site. Because yes, this is looking a little bit better. Let's go back to our other radar product. I think this one's starting to have some issues. Stand by. New severe thunderstorm warning, and it looks like it has a considerable damage tag with it. That is for 70-mile-per-hour winds. This is going to be coming into, let's see here. Okay, so considerable severe thunderstorm warning, and this is going to be coming into the community of Gentry here in a little bit. This also has a tornado possible tag, 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and I've been mentioning this. You know, the damage threshold between 60 to 70 miles an hour may not sound like a lot, but it's a pretty big jump. So, you know, we just want you to be staying tuned to the forecast update. We want to make sure that you're tuned in and keeping a close eye on this. But we are keeping a close eye on these supercell storms that are moving into portions of our coverage area, and we just want to make sure that you're tuned in. So, excuse me, if you're just now tuning in, we've got a lot going on. We have tornado warnings, and now we have considerable severe thunderstorm warnings. And so I just want to kind of fill in everyone. Your alerts may be going off in Benton County now outside of that tornado warning, and we just want to make sure that we're, you know, covering everything to the best of our ability. Right now, here's what we've got. We've got significant severe weather, northwestern portions of northwest Arkansas. Tornado warning storm, now considerable damage, severe thunderstorm warning. That's what we've got. So if you live anywhere in western Benton County, you're going to have some type of severe weather issue here momentarily, whether it's hail, damaging winds, or the potential tornado located in Maysville, or potential developing tornado. We don't know. We don't have confirmation just yet, but I want you to respect this and treat it as if it is a confirmed tornado. That's a look at what we've got with this. Let's go to normal radar. And so if you are in Washington County, if you are in Benton County, Bentonville, Rogers, Centerton, Bella Vista, I want you to be weather alert in the next 30 minutes to the next hour, because we've got ongoing severe weather, and it is moving into portions of western Benton County. It's also not moving very quickly, but in the next 1 to 2 hours, I want you to be weather alert, because this moving at the east-southeasterly movement may eventually move further into Benton County and Washington County. That's what we've got going on right now. So I want you to be weather alert in these areas, because we've got ongoing severe weather. Let's see if we've got any sort of updates here. Okay, just making sure the mic is still working and stuff. So, again, and it's not because our technology is bad, but when you're on for long periods of time, you want to make sure that there's no issues with the batteries or anything like that. So, again, Washington County, nothing going on right now. Parts of Benton County, Bentonville, Rogers, Centerton, Bella Vista, there's no warnings for you, but in the next 1 to 2 hours, this may eventually be a little bit more of an issue closer to the I-49 corridor. Let's go back to this here real quick. Significant severe weather in parts of northwest Arkansas, and that's where we have tornado possible tag and the potential for 70-mile-per-hour winds in this part of Benton County near Gentry. So if you're in Gentry, get inside. If you are in a mobile home park, if you are out camping, you need to get in shelter regardless. if it's a tornado warning or not, 70-mile-per-hour winds, if you're camping, is going to be a big problem. Sometimes if you're in mobile homes, portable homes, or an RV, 70-mile-per-hour winds can be a problem. I want you to go ahead and get into that sturdy shelter, structure, whatever it is that you need to go. I want you to go ahead and get to that if you're camping, if you're in an RV, if you are in a mobile home, because it may not sound like a big deal, but 70-mile-per-hour winds and those things that I just mentioned, they don't go hand in hand. So I want you to go ahead and treat this as if, it is a tornado for some of those situations, because those winds, those are no joke. Let's go ahead and take a look at this here. Here's where that rotation would be located. And so that rotation is currently just to the west of Decatur. So if you're in Decatur, get into shelter now. Again, while it may not look super intense, it's really tricky because we're kind of at the outer edge of all three of our radar sites. It's going to be hard to see closer to the surface. What I can tell you is still seeing signs of rotation with this storm. And behind the scenes, I'm going to go ahead and sample a couple things. Looks like we have some damage reported in Maysville. Trained weather spotter is reporting large tree branch down in Maysville. And this was reported via broadcast media and a storm chaser. We also had 65-mile-per-hour winds. This was in the southwest portion of Maysville. This was also from a trained storm spotter. So, confirmed 65-mile-per-hour winds, at least with that storm that's warned for the 70-mile-per-hour winds. We also have some wind damage. Now, right now, if we're in the city of Decatur, and let's go ahead and go to a different radar site here real quick. Let me show you where that rotation would be located. Let's see, so that's the Tulsa site. Let's go back to Tulsa. Actually, I want to go ahead and take a look at this from Springfield. It's so tough because it's right at the edge of all of our radars. So right now, Tulsa site's going to be the best site, and I apologize if I'm going kind of back and forth. So here's where that rotation would be located. So rotation right now would be located in the community of Decatur. If you're in Decatur, get to your shelter place immediately. Act as if it's a tornado warning or a tornado that is actively on the ground. We just want to make sure that you are protected from the potential of a tornado. We want to make sure that you're taking this seriously in your storm shelter. And so let's see here. I left my iPad over here. I want to check and see if we've got any new updates here from the Weather Service. And so right now, if that tornado were to be trying to develop or actively occurring, this looks to be right over the community of Decatur. So get to your lowest, centermost room, lowest floor, sturdy building. Interior closet or bathroom will work. Cover yourself with pillows and blankets. And also make sure that you're headed into shelter immediately. Don't wait. Don't try and wait this out. Don't try and wait outside to see if this makes its way towards you, and if you're going to be able to see it. Because as I show you here real quick, if this is occurring, it's likely rain wrapped over Decatur. Very heavy rainfall. This is not going to be the opportunity for you to wait on the patio and see it. That's never a good idea to begin with, but if you're trying to look at it here in Decatur and you're trying to get a look at it, you're not going to be able to see it. We've got heavy rainfall, likely a rain-wrapped situation in the city of Decatur. There's that report from earlier. Let's go ahead and go back to our rotation tracker. And it's getting a little bit harder to kind of pinpoint where that is because of the strong winds that are in portions of Benton County outside of that rotation. So let's see if we've got another tool here. Stand by. Okay, so this is a little bit of a different velocity product here. Here's that area of rotation originally. Here's those strong winds, especially we were starting to see some of those brighter greens and reds. Regardless of, or kind of excluding the tornado potential with this, we are also still, mindful of the potential of up to 70-mile-per-hour winds with this area of storms. So regardless of whether or not it was a tornado, we do have wind damage of some kind that was back in Delaware County. And so we'll have to look at some of those pictures and everything later on to kind of determine what it looks like. But for the most part, regardless if you're in the tornado warning or if you're in the severe thunderstorm warning, there is going to be some type of wind potential that you need to be mindful of and aware of. So again, tornado warned storms, parts of northwest Arkansas, Benton County. Good news is for Delaware County, minus maybe this little portion that hasn't fully made its way into Benton County yet, Delaware County is mostly clear of this activity. In fact, the next update, it wouldn't surprise me if that portion of the warning on the northwestern sides into portions of northeast Jay County or Delaware County, wouldn't surprise me if those are eventually dropped off. But right now, again, we have a potential tornado trying to develop near the community of Decatur. And again, 70-mile-per-hour winds near the community of Gentry. And so here's that rotation. And while it may not look super, scary or alarming or anything along those lines, that doesn't discredit that. Still seeing some signs of rotation right over the community of Decatur there. Looks like, let's zoom out here real quick. Not to overlook the storms that we have already. We're not going to, leave those and ignore them. But something else that's starting to catch my attention is we have additional activity in Ottawa County and making its way closer to Delaware County. So Delaware and also Ottawa County, new special weather statement for development back up to the north and west. We'll keep an eye on that. Here comes that new scan here. That was 8 seconds ago. Let's zoom in on this. So here comes the live scan radar update directly from the radar source. And so, again, right now I'm not seeing any sort of confirmed reports of a tornado, which is a good thing. But also, I don't want you to hear that and think, and this is the tricky thing. Often when we get in these situations here where, we don't have the big scary tornado on camera or anything, a lot of people, they tend to think, I don't really think that's happening. That's not always the case. And this is what I've seen from personal experience. I've been forecasting for 10 years. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it, TV, Weather 225, you name it. I've seen a thing or two. And unfortunately, when you get these warnings where you don't have the big scary tornado, kind of like what you see on the news in Oklahoma and stuff like that, people tend to think that's not going to happen. And I don't want you to think that. And then we get some tornado activity to occur and, you're caught off guard. This is the tricky thing with our job, is I can tell you, we've got this storm coming in, this, and this, but sometimes if you're not able to see it, people don't think it's happening or it's not going to happen. I want you to treat this as if it's a tornado that's on the ground in the community of Decatur. Even though there's no reports of it, it doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve respect. I want you to treat this as if it's a confirmed tornado. Again, you're not going to be able to see this if you try and look at it from Decatur. If you're on your patio trying to look at it, it's rain wrapped. It's got very heavy rain around it. Right now, it is likely over the community of Decatur. Whether or not it's producing a tornado, doesn't matter. I need you to be in shelter in this area. I don't want you to be outside looking at it. New update from the Weather Service mentioning that a tornado warned storm continues for Delaware and Benton County. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Decatur, moving east at 15 miles an hour. So this is still the area of rotation. And the one thing that we need to be keeping a close eye on this is every couple of updates we've gotten with this, when it looks like it's weakening, it starts to come back. And when it comes back, it looks a little bit stronger. This is just one of those storms where we need to be treating this with respect. And so, again, we've got tornado warned storms. Right now, that rotation would be located just over the community of Decatur. We also have some strong winds. So real quick here, just real quick, I want to do kind of an overview real quick. Let's put this into motion. This is going to be a long evening, y'all. Not everyone's going to see severe weather, but everyone needs to be weather alert. We've got this round that's going to last likely until late tonight. And then we have another round that's going to arrive late tonight into the overnight hours. That's going to be a little bit of a concerning potential because, and let me show you here real quick. Let's go ahead and clear off. Actually, let me do this here real quick. Stand by. So let's go ahead and clear all this off here real quick. We'll pause this, and let's go to our severe weather probabilities real quick. Again, I apologize. We're not trying to miss the storms or anything like that. So our severe weather risk for today, this is what we've got. Medium risk from our storm scale for the remainder today into tonight, and it's going to continue into the overnight hours. This is not the only line that we're going to get. In terms of that tornado potential, here's a look at that tornado potential, and the highlighted area here is where we could see if we see storms not only this evening and tonight, but overnight. Some of those tornadoes could be a little bit on the stronger side, maybe EF2 strength or a little bit stronger, that type of deal. In terms of the winds, this is going to be the primary concern for the remainder of today into tonight. There could be winds with the activity tonight and overnight with that main complex that's making its way towards the area. Could be some winds as high as almost 90 miles an hour. Not everyone's going to see 90-mile-an-hour winds, but it's just going to be something we need to keep an eye on. So if you're just now tuning in and you're wondering, okay, this is it and then we're done, that's not the case, unfortunately. New severe thunderstorm warning for, let's see here. I was trying to see which one of these got that. So this is now into our county coverage area for Osage and Pawnee County, and that's for 60-mile-per-hour winds and half-dollar-sized hail. All right, now that we've done that, let's go back to the tornado warning storm that we have here, located right over the community of Decatur. And I know there's a lot of fear and anxiety, unfortunately, in this community because of the tornado warning storm that we saw here just a few years ago. So right now, that area of rotation still located right over the community of Decatur. This storm's not moving very quickly, y'all, so this is going to stick over Decatur here for the next little bit. No new updates from the Weather Service, which is some good news there. But still, if there is going to be a tornado that is developing, it would likely be over the Decatur area. And also, I'm just trying to look here behind the scenes with some of our other radar tools that we have, seeing if I can see any sort of debris. The good news is right now I'm not seeing it. The other thing that we're going to be having a hard time with this is if we go back to normal radar, notice just how much rainfall is falling with this. This is a lot of rainfall. So likely a rain wrap situation ongoing in the community of Decatur. Looks like we've got the new scan here coming in, so stand by for that. There's the new scan in real time, and let's see what that meant for the velocity. It looks like that scan's actually coming in right now too, and this is the thing about radar that people don't think. It has to load in the data from the radar as it comes in, and then it starts to sweep around. And so that live sweep is now coming in. We just caught it right between. I believe that new sweep's coming in here real quick. So if you're just now tuning in, we've got a tornado warning storm. It's located right over the community of Decatur if that rotation were to be occurring. And let's get our velocity product up here real quick so you can see what we're talking about. So this velocity would be located right over the community of Decatur. I may have to switch radar products here real quick. Stand by. Yep. We're going to have to change the radar here real quick. I apologize. We're going to go over to this here. Here we go. There's that area of rotation now over the community of Decatur. And so if you're in Decatur, again, it's not moving very quickly, but I need you in shelter. Lowest floor, centermost room, interior closet, or bathroom. Cover yourself with pillows and blankets and make sure that you're in shelter. The good news about us here is you don't need to turn up your TV. Now, you could be watching us on TV, but we are streaming all over right now. Facebook, YouTube, weather225.com. Bring us with you on your phone. Turn us up on your phone. Wait this out if you're in this area. Let's take a look at our debris detection tool here real quick. Stand by. And I want to see if we've got anything here. If there was to be anything on the radar, it would be located right over the community of Decatur. But fortunately, right now, that does not look to be the case. New severe thunderstorm warning, and this is now into portions of Washington County. Severe thunderstorm warning for the rest of Benton County, just about, minus Bentonville, Rogers, and Bella Vista. But for the large portion of Benton County, northeast Washington County, so not quite Johnson or Springdale, but northwestern Washington County is where we've got that new warning. So that includes Tawnytown, Elm Springs, some of those communities there. This is for, I believe, 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. So this is a base level severe thunderstorm warning, which is some good news that we've got there. See here real quick. So that rotation there, still located right over the community of Decatur. And so that's what we've got going on in terms of that. I want to take a quick look here, and if you hear some of those beeps in the corner, we're also listening in on local scanners, seeing if we can get any sort of damage reports being relayed in. Someone mentioning raining hard in Decatur. That does not surprise me, like we've been mentioning too, that this particular storm, it would not surprise us if this is very rain-wrapped. Unfortunately for Decatur too, you may start to get some hail coming into the area, maybe close to the 1-inch in diameter range. And I've got some terrific news here. It looks like the Weather Service, make sure that this isn't just glitching out product. It looks like the Weather Service went ahead and dropped the tornado warning, and they went ahead and they added a tornado possible tag with that severe thunderstorm warning. So let's do this real quick because we've got a moment to breathe. I'm going to keep a very close eye on that area of rotation that we're still seeing near the community of Decatur. Be weather alert in these areas. And in fact, parts of Benton County, south of Bentonville, Gentry, and then all the way into northern Washington County, we're going to be weather alert with this. Just because that warning is over does not mean that the threat is gone. We need to keep an eye on this for the next, half hour to a couple of hours there. But what I want to do is I want to go back to our original radar product here. And now that we have a minute to breathe, let's go ahead and show you the Future Scan radar. Stand by. Wrong tool. Here we go. So, let's go ahead and walk through this together. And I want to show you real quick. Let's take off everything here and let's go through the latest model data for the remainder of today. So let's go to, right now we are currently at 8 o'clock. Let's see, first of all, what Future Scan, and let me show you how terrible Future Scan radar is doing. Take a look at this. I'm going to have to take a look at another product because this is just not helpful, y'all. This one's a little bit better. Here we go. So this one actually did a pretty good job. And so this is for 8 o'clock. This is Future Scan Radar showing 8 o'clock. This is doing a pretty good job. Now, it's not really handling this activity very well, but it handled the supercell in portions of northwest Arkansas pretty well. Let me show you what we've got going on. It's handling the activity right now fairly decent. And so when we say that we got the tornado watch until 11 o'clock, you may be wondering, okay, well, that has to be it, right? There's no activity outside of that once we get past this activity this evening. That's not the case. And let me show you what we're talking about. So let's zoom in here to our county coverage area. And let me go ahead and show you the timestamp to let's see here. I'm going to have to move that. Stand by. Logo and timestamps. Okay, I'm just going to have to read it to y'all then, I guess. So here's a look at what we got. 8 o'clock. This is 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock. We'll have to keep an eye on this activity further to the west. That supercell that's near Ponca City would eventually be knocking on the door of Tulsa. More activity closer to Joplin. And then let's show you what's arriving. So this is midnight tonight. This is why we're saying don't let your guard down. I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to see an additional watch issued. The watch that we have now until 11 o'clock is for the activity that we have right now. That's this afternoon and this evening. Again, that's for the first round of activity. Here comes the more concerning area. Not to say that it's not concerning right now. Of course, tornado warnings and the severe weather that we've seen and even some damage we've seen, that's an issue. But the more intense winds that could be 75 to 90 miles an hour in southwest Missouri, that's going to arrive later tonight. And here's that complex. So this is at midnight tonight. Let's make our way later. Here's a look at 1 in the morning. Here's a look at 2 in the morning. And so this is why I'm saying before you go to bed tonight, don't think because we have this the tornado watch until 11 o'clock that you can go to bed and then it's going to be fine. By the time we get to midnight through at least maybe 4 or 5 in the morning, there is going to be another wave of storms that are going to be intense, most likely, especially southwest Missouri, northwest Arkansas, northeast Oklahoma. Where it gets a little bit tricky is when we zoom out here and show you the River Valley. As we make our way 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, they start to weaken, but it's still widespread activity. So tonight, regardless of where you're located, southwest Missouri, Arkansas, or our Oklahoma county coverage area, don't look at the tornado watch and think, okay, it's only till 11. That means I can go to bed tonight without the warnings. Tonight, before you go to bed, I need you to have those warnings handy, especially with Do Not Disturb turned off. No weather radio. If you have it, have the multiple ways to receive alerts that can wake you up just in case, because by the time we get to midnight, this significant area of some showers and storms may be leading to some problems in southwest Missouri, northeast Oklahoma, and especially portions of northwest Arkansas. So it doesn't guarantee you're going to see the significant severe weather, but some of that higher end wind potential is going to be knocking on our door closer to that, I'd say 11 o'clock to 3 a.m. timeline later tonight. So again, it wouldn't surprise us if once we get done with that tornado watch at 11 o'clock, if we see an additional watch issued for the damaging wind potential, maybe some embedded tornado potential as well. So we're not done with the storms, as you can see there. So we still have a while to get through here across the area. So here's a look at what we've got, and new tornado warning. This is just an active evening, y'all. This is going to be to the north of Stillwater, headed towards Pawnee and Fairfax. Here's a look at what we've got there. And so let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got with the velocity. And I actually want to go to, I know there's that Enid site here. And let's see what we've got going on here with this particular tornado warning. Stand by. Hopefully it loads in. There we go. All right. So this tornado warning is in effect till 8:45, and it includes Osage and Pawnee counties till 8:45. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we got with the velocities here. That is a concerning couplet there. So if you're watching from northwest Arkansas, that storm has diminished. Now 60-mile-per-hour wind threat and quarter-sized hail potential. But what you're looking at is well to the west. This is in our Oklahoma County coverage area. New tornado warning. This is to the north of Stillwater, Oklahoma. This is in Pawnee and Osage County to the southeast of Ponca City. And that's where we have this new developing area of some tight rotation there. And so for those that don't know, we do cover a large area in Oklahoma and into Missouri, Arkansas, even North Texas. And so I want to take a look behind the scenes here, see if we're seeing any sort of damage. Folks, this is a very dangerous storm that eventually we need to be keeping a very close eye on for the Tulsa Metro. Right now, it is not posing a threat to the Tulsa Metro, but it is getting very concerning looking. Let me go to our other radar source here. Here's a look at what we got with this one. And so Pawnee and Osage County, Oklahoma, if you are in any of these areas, you need to be in your tornado safe place immediately. This is a very concerning tornado warned storm. And so we're not talking northwest Arkansas right now, so if you are just now tuning in and wondering what's going on with this is well to the west, and we're keeping an eye on this as it gets closer to the Tulsa metro area. And just a scan ago, we were into the reds with the rotation detector. So this is a great example. Let me show you what we're talking about. So when we're talking about rotation detector and you start to see these greens turning to yellow and then into red, this is what we're talking about, very strong rotation. That was the last scan. The newest scan, not quite as bold with the color scale that we have there, but this is a very intense supercell storm. And the reason that we're showing you this here real quick is this is eventually going to be making its way closer to the Tulsa area. So here's a look at what we've got. Here's Tulsa, and it's basically in a direct path of this. So eventually, Pawnee, Hominy, and Tulsa, this will be a problem here in the next couple of hours in the Tulsa metro here as this makes its way to the south and east. Will it be maintaining tornado strength in the next 2 hours? We don't know. This may be a issue that it goes away here in a little bit, or it may maintain its strength. One of the problems is it's the only storm in the area. There's not a whole lot to cut it off here as it's making its way to the south and east. This has had a history of tornado warnings with it too. So if you're in the Tulsa area, I want you to be weather alert in the next 1 to 2 hours. Right now, community of Fairfax, if you are in Pawnee, if you are in Ralston, you need to be in your tornado safe place because this is the most concerning rotation that we've seen so far this evening. And again, if you're just now tuning in northwest Arkansas, this is nowhere near us. That tornado warning is gone, but we do cover a large portion of eastern Oklahoma. And right now, this is to the southeast of Ponca City, north of Stillwater, and this is in Pawnee and Osage County, Oklahoma. And this is a very significant supercell. And one of the reasons that we're concerned about this is in the next couple of hours, this may be an issue for the community of Cleveland, Hominy, and maybe even the Tulsa metro area. So this is basically on its way there in the next 1 to 2 hours. And this one is one of the more concerning storms that we've seen so far this evening. This one's had a history of producing some damaging winds and even some large hail up to even hen egg sized earlier, I believe, is what we saw just outside of the county coverage area. But what you're starting to see here with this little triangle, that's a tornado vortex signature. And the tornado vortex signature is showing that there is a pretty good lock on some lower level rotation with this. And so, I mean, when you're looking for rotation, this is as sticking out as a sore thumb as you get. Very intense winds. One of the problems with this, though, is going to be that there is a little bit of a contaminated scan on the south side. But the moral is This part's not contaminated. This is co-located with the radar. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. And let's zoom in on this here. I'm going to put this into... I'm going to put this into velocity, and actually I'm going to put this here. We're going to put this red box that you see here, and we'll co-locate it. Here's what I mean. When you're co-locating something, you want to see with the radar, this little square tool that we have right here, this is going to show you, we put this in the center of the screen so that when we go, okay, this is rotation, right? Is this inside of this hook feature? And the reason that's important is sometimes you get these areas that are a little bit contaminated with the scan, and it leads to a crazy kind of depiction of the winds. In some cases, it can even give a kind of a false rotation reading. In this situation, that is not the case. And something that's starting to concern me a little bit more, and this is to the west of the community of Fairfax, is we're back into the red with the rotation. So again, if you're just now tuning in, this is not in Arkansas anymore. That storm that we had in northwest Arkansas, now basic severe thunderstorm warning. Let's go back to that here real quick. And so if you're watching in Arkansas, I know it's going to be a little bit of a back and forth, but I've got a lot of viewers in Oklahoma, and we want to make sure that we're covering this and doing it our due diligence. This storm does not look as intense as it did earlier, but there is maybe a little bit of some strong winds still kind of holding on with this activity. So we're right now kind of between both of those radars there. And let's show you what this storm looked like over the last, let's see, half hour to an hour. And notice it looks to be dramatically coming down in terms of the overall structure. Still some strong winds kind of embedded with this. We'll keep an eye on that activity. Let's see if they went ahead and kept the tag on it. And so right now, I guess it still technically has a tornado possible tag with that. Let's see, we got a new mesoscale discussion from the Storm Prediction Center. Let's see what they're talking about here. Isolated supercell storms look to be ongoing and will continue. They're also talking about a cluster of strong to severe storms near Wichita, Kansas that'll make their way further into Oklahoma here in a little bit. So we've got a lot going on here. Let me go ahead and do a quick reset here to kind of show you what we've got going on. We do have severe storms in northwest Arkansas, but also into portions of southwest, or not necessarily severe yet in southwest Missouri, but we have some storms in parts of southwest Missouri that you may be wondering, are these severe? We also have the storm activity that's in Oklahoma, with the potential developing tornado that is ongoing there. So let's go ahead and do a quick zoom out here real quick. And I want to keep an eye on that one storm in northwest Arkansas here as well. But as we do a quick zoom out here, let's show you kind of what we're talking about. So northwest Arkansas, we have a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. No tornado warning at this point. It just means there's some maintained rotation, not concerning enough for a warning. Southwest Missouri near Branson, shower and thunderstorm activity ongoing. Here's a look at the most concerning storm at the moment that is in Osage and Pawnee County, and this is likely producing some strong winds, some hail. We've had damage reports. Let's see, emergency manager, and this was in K County, power pole damage in Newkirk. And so this was just outside of the county coverage area. And then additionally, we have these storms that are near Wichita, Kansas. These are going to be making their way south and west. And what you're going to see here in the next 2 to 4 hours is we've got a lot of these sporadic supercells. They're going to remain supercells for the next couple of hours. I'd say the next 2 to 4 hours, you're going to get these clusters of supercells. They're going to create high-end type of severe weather in terms of the wind and the hail potential. But as we head later into the evening, closer to, let's say, 9 to 11 o'clock this evening, these are going to start to kind of merge into a complex of storms. And as they do this, the threats of all hazards are going to morph from hail, wind, and tornado to destructive wind risk, embedded tornado, maybe a couple areas of some smaller hail, but the hail risk is going to go down and the wind risk is going to go up as all these storms, right now, they're kind of clustered, but they're going to merge a little bit later on this afternoon or this evening into tonight. Let's go ahead and go back to the one that's in northwest Arkansas. This one is still not as strong as it was earlier. We still have a little area to hold on in terms of the rotation that we're keeping an eye on. And bear with me here. Our studio is actually close to that, so I may be able to see that here. So let's see. We're watching from Fayetteville. We do have an interesting little batch of clouds that's moving in, and so we are pretty close to where that is located. And so I'm not seeing any signs of tornado or anything, but if you're in northwest Arkansas, let's see here. If you're in northwest Arkansas, you're going to see definitely some scary looking clouds. So just to kind of ease the viewers in northwest Arkansas, you're probably going to see the leading edge of this. It's probably going to have some structure to it that looks interesting. Right now, we're not talking immediate tornado risk or anything like that. We'll have to see, since it's so far east, right on the line, if they're going to go ahead and extend that or drop that warning. But you're going to see some scary looking clouds in northwest Arkansas with this, in all honesty. And it's going to look scary, but right now, all we have is the wind potential, which right now I believe is only 60 miles an hour, and the potential for some quarter-sized hail. Yes, we do have a little inflow notch right here near Taneytown and Springdale. But right now, as we take a look at that rotation detector tool here again, let me show you. It's not the strongest that we've seen. There is a little bit of some mid-level rotation with it, but right now I don't think this is necessarily at the tornado producing level. In fact, overall, let's take a look at how tall this storm is. It's still a pretty tall storm. We're looking at here, and let me go ahead and smooth that out, it's about 45,000 feet. Now, earlier with this storm, back when it was near to the Decatur area, this was a 50,000 foot storm. So the tops are going down. We're still going to treat this with respect because it's still severe thunderstorm warning. It still has a tornado possible tag with it. But right now, no tornado warnings for northwest Arkansas. The only tornado warning we have is back in Pawnee and Osage County in Oklahoma. And that storm we're keeping an eye on because that could bring some issues as it gets closer to the Tulsa metro here in the next little bit, which right now doesn't look like any sort of confirmation with that. And let's see here. So I'm going to step off here and get a glass of water real quick. Also, just take another look out our window in the studio here. So if you're just now tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. We're Weather 225. We're keeping a close eye on this activity. Yeah, you're definitely going to see the leading edge of this. We're looking out our window here in our studio, and we call these SLCs, scary-looking clouds. Right now, I don't see any funnels. I don't see any sort of wall clouds, but we're in North Fayetteville at the moment, so I'm not getting the best view of this. But if you're in northwest Arkansas, I can definitely tell you, if you're not super in tune with the weather, so the clouds, they're going to look unnerving. They're going to look a little bit concerning, but right now, that's all that they are. Behind them, that's when you're going to start to get into some issues with maybe some 60-mile-per-hour winds, maybe some hail up to quarter size, that type of deal. But right now, if you're in Fayetteville, if you're in Johnson, Springdale, besides the potential for some of those winds and some hail with it, you're going to get some of those scary-looking clouds. So, telling you now, it's going to look a little bit scary, but right now, no tornado warning. So I want to kind of reduce those fears that we've got going on there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rotation here real quick too. Again, keep an eye on it. In terms of rotation, the most concerning storm that we have is actually going to be this one in Osage and Pawnee County, Oklahoma. Good news with that is, since our last update, the rotation's actually come down significantly with that too. Hopefully we can get a little bit of a break, because unfortunately, I don't think you're going to be done hearing from me this evening, because we've got this activity that we've got here for the next, I'd say, 2 to 4 hours or so. But you're also going to start to see, by the time we get closer to midnight, maybe an intense wind potential with all of these storms. So this is round 1. This is round 2, and this is what we're talking about. And in fact, we're actually starting to see with that radar, notice of supercells now merging more into a complex of storms. So if you're just now tuning in with us, we've been talking about this all day. Even though the tornado watch is in effect until 11 o'clock for our areas, the problem is going to be, this is round 1 that we've got going on here. Let me zoom out here. Okay, so new special weather statement for Northwest Arkansas. I think they're going to go ahead and let that warning drop. That's some good news. Scary looking clouds, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, maybe some small hail, but that storm has come down dramatically. So here's back to where I was getting at. So here's a look at what we've got right now in terms of our viewing area. We have round 1, tornado watch in effect until 11 o'clock. And I want you to hear 11 o'clock and think, okay, storms are done at that time. You know, the watch is over. That means we don't have to worry. The problem going forward is going to be, this is all round 1. Everything you see here, this activity too, as it makes its way to the south and east. Further to the north, though, we've had all these supercells. Now, as they continue to develop, they're going to remain most likely supercells for the next 1 to 2 hours out ahead of this complex that's merging. But the storms that were a little bit more singular or cellular earlier, kind of on their own, they're merging into a complex off to the west and off to the north. And notice, we're starting to see some issues with some intense winds. In fact, this particular storm up here to the north, near Kansas City at the moment, this now has a destructive tag. And this is for the potential of, let's see here, 80 mile an hour winds. And this is the problem when we get round 2 tonight. There is going to be the potential that all of these storms, when they merge together and they create a fairly large complex of storms, as it moves to the south and east, southwest Missouri needs to be weather alert this evening. Northeast Oklahoma needs to be alert. Northwest Arkansas needs to be alert, because there's going to be a risk for, winds of 75 to maybe 90 miles an hour. It's going to be intense winds tonight for some locations, and unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be one of those nights where you're not going to hear from me that much. I think this is going to be one of those nights where we're going to have maybe some issues as this complex of storms merges together. Now, could it weaken as it gets to us? Certainly there is a chance. The problem is the ingredients that are at play ahead of this complex look very supportive for some of that intense severe weather, including the risk of winds up to 90 miles an hour. Now, that doesn't mean everyone's going to see this, but it just means we need to be weather alert tonight. Now, let's go back to this real quick, and I want to walk through future scan radar with you and walk you through what we've got. We're going to take a little bit of a break because we've got a lot going on the remainder of tonight, and we want to make sure that we're refreshed, reset, and got everything going on. And the only reason I'm not talking about that one near Osage right now is because the latest scan looks like it's starting to come down some, so we're just going to take a little bit of a break real quick, not overlooking that storm, but here's a look at what we've got. Let's go to the severe weather risk real quick. Let's show you what we've got in terms of severe weather. So this is our severe weather risk for the remainder of today into tonight. And remember, our scale is different from the ones that you typically see that go with the Storm Prediction Center. This is our own unique algorithm. And so the thing is, with the forecasts, we have the utmost respect for the Storm Prediction Center. It's not that we're trying to, not use them or anything. This is a unique combination of our own forecast that's combined with theirs. So this is our own unique algorithm. Blue is low, orange is medium, and then you very rarely see white pop up on this, which means high, and then there's a white area that has a hatched area. That is the extreme risk. And right now we're not into those top two risks, but it's a little bit closer to the high end for some locations. Let's break down those risks, and this is going to be per the Storm Prediction Center. So here's the wind risk, and this is why I'm saying northwest Arkansas, southwest Missouri, northern Oklahoma need to be weather alert tonight. Yes, there will be a weakening trend, but at what point? We are into the high-end risk for destructive winds. This is the wind risk. We posted this on Facebook. Those pinks you see there, this is the high-end potential for damaging winds. And this line that you see that's blinking with kind of that hatched area, that's indicative that the severe weather risk that we have for tonight is not going to be your typical 60-mile-per-hour wind risk. So that's not going to be the max potential for storms today. We've already seen storms capable of 70, 80-mile-per-hour winds in these areas ahead of the activity that's making its way towards us later tonight. So this means that there's a significant hatched area that there could be winds easily 70 to 90 miles an hour. Not everyone's going to see the 70 to 90 mile per hour winds, but there's going to be a fairly high likelihood, especially southwest Missouri, portions of northwest Arkansas, and northern Oklahoma, that we could see that potential later on. I'll show you the tornado risk here real quick too. Here's a look at that updated tornado risk. And again, it's not the highest tornado risk that we've seen, but this blinking area that you see here, this is a significant hatched area, meaning that, you know, of the tornadoes that we see today, if you get one to produce, it may not be a quick spin up. It could be a little bit longer lived. It could be maybe as strong as EF2 or slightly higher. That's for the supercell development that we've got today. That's also for the embedded potential with the spin ups later tonight. Now that we've gone over the severe weather risks, let me walk you through Future Scan Radar now that we're getting the latest update here. We're going to go to our HRRR model, and let's go to this evening. Let's start at 9 o'clock. So we're still going to have some storms kind of around the area by the time we get to 9 o'clock. Right now, this would be in the next 30 minutes. It's not really handling a lot of activity, you know, perfectly. So let's load this. Yeah, I'm going to load it. This one's a little bit better. So let's go to this one. This one's handling it good. But notice, off to the west and to the north, those storms that we mentioned in Kansas and in portions of Missouri, they're merging more into a line. That's 9 o'clock. Still got some showers and storms. This is in the next 30 minutes, so it makes sense. By the time we get to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, that's when that one supercell would be close to the Tulsa metro area. But then, you know, 11 o'clock, midnight, that's when our second round starts knocking on our door. And you can see it's a fairly strong line of strong to severe storms. And this is going to be this is going to be the activity that's likely capable of those damaging winds, maybe as high as 90 miles an hour, and a couple of embedded tornadoes as well. So right now, I think it'll be arriving into the area by the time we get between 11 o'clock and 3 in the morning. And so for River Valley viewers too, there's still going to be a risk for strong to severe storms in your neck of the woods. As storms gradually move south, they will be weakening. Yes, the question is how fast are they going to weaken and to what extent. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here because we are not done with storms for the remainder of today and tonight. And actually, real quick, before I was going to take a break, looks like new special weather statement here. We can hear the thunder at our studio in Fayetteville. This may be capable of 50-mile-per-hour winds and hail just about quarter size. So we're going to take a quick break here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please follow. And the reason I'm asking for a follower is not to sound like some YouTuber going, you know, like, share, and follow, that kind of stuff. I appreciate your follow and everything. This isn't begging for that. Because we have an active evening, I want you to follow because every time we do one of these live updates, you are going to get notified.